Hello folks, in this lecture we are going to see how to install Jenkins. For this one I have already created a documentation. Quickly go through with that documentation and set up the Jenkins. This is Jenkins installation documentation. We need to create an EC2 instance and it should contain the Java 1.8. Of course we have done the same thing for our Maven server as well, right? Once this is done, we need to set up the Java home path because Jenkins requires the Java. Once this is done, we need to install Jenkins. Okay, so these are the steps where we are going to add a additional repo and install Jenkins. Next thing, we need to start the Jenkins, which means that we can able to access it from the browser. To access it from the browser, like Tomcat public IP colon 8080. Once this is done, we need to do some configuration settings we need to do. Anyway, we are going to do this one on the console itself. If you get any doubt during the setup of Jenkins, maybe you can follow this document. I try to update this document frequently. Let's go and create an EC2 instance to install Jenkins. So I'm going to launch instance. Same thing, Amazon Linux, how we have done our Maven server. Same thing we are doing, T2 micro instance. Nothing to change, nothing to change. And here, add tags step 5. Name, I'm going to give it as a Jenkins server. Because I have already one server with the same name, maybe it get conflict. So I will give Jenkins instance. Next. And security group, I'm going to use a security group which is already there, or else let me create it to avoid confusion. Jenkins Maven SG. And we need to add port number 8080 because Jenkins runs on port number 8080. That's the reason. Choose the custom TCP rule and 8080. And here I'm opening for the internet, but it is not recommended. Maybe you can open for your own network. So if you want to know what is your own network, just go to browser and search for what is my IP.com. It will give your public IP address, which means that your internet IP. That IP range you can add if you want to avoid the security violations. But in this case, anyway, it is lab, and again I'm going to delete it once the lab is done. That's the reason I'm opening for the internet. Next, launch it. So while launching, I'm going to choose the existing key pair which we have created, that is Maven key. Acknowledge that I have this key pair. Just launch it. Okay, it takes a while. Let's wait for a while. And I'm filtering it with the running instances. Instance state. Okay, instance state is running, so it will show up only running instances. Once our Jenkins server is up and running, yep, I think it's up and running now. Okay, whenever we get public IP, which means that we can able to log into our system, take this public IP and go back. I have already logged into my Maven server. This is Maven and this is Tomcat. I don't think so we need Tomcat access. Let's exit. I'm closing it. And let's connect to our Jenkins server now. And we have the key pair, right? That is, okay, here we have a Maven key and EC2 minus user is the username. And okay to launch the instance. Now we have logged into our Jenkins server, and for better understanding, let me switch to root and host name Jenkins I'm giving, and sudo su minus so that it will be converted it as a Jenkins. So it's easy for us to identify where we are working. As a first step, we need to install Java. So yum install Java minus 1.8 star. Okay, we are installing Java. Yes to install. Okay, Java installation is successful. Next, we need to download Jenkins. If you do yum install Jenkins, okay, those packages are not available by default in the default repo. That's the reason we need to add additional repo. That information is already available over here. If you click on this link, and this is the procedure to add it to our system. So I'm just executing these commands blindly, and we are adding key. Now if we try to yum install Jenkins, it should work. Yes, I want to install it. Seems it may take a while. Okay, Jenkins installation is completed. If I check for service Jenkins status, it's not running. Service Jenkins start. Again, if I check for status, it is running. Now I can access this application from the browser. So here we have the public IP address. Copy this public IP And once this is done, go to browser, Control V, colon 8080. Make sure that you have opened port number 8080 in the security group level, otherwise it doesn't allow. And you can get the password from this path in your Jenkins server. Let me take that password. So you will get the password in this location. I have taken this, never, and install suggested plugins or select plugins to install. Okay, otherwise you can just close this if you don't want to do. So I'm just installing the suggested plugins. By default we need few plugins. If we use this one, it installs most of the commonly used plugins. Make sure that it installs Git, then SSH build agent, then Maven. So I couldn't able to find Maven. Anyway, we are going to install it even though once the installation is completed. Okay, it took a lot of time because I have used it first time to install the default plugins. Anyway, username I'm going to give it as a Jenkins. Password also Jenkins123 I have given. Okay, full name Jenkins at email.com. Okay, something I'm giving, and save and continue. And this is the URL, let it be, and finish it and start using Jenkins. Alright, so this is how we can set up our Jenkins server. In next video, we are going to add our Maven build server as a slave to this Jenkins. Thanks for watching and see you there.